Hi, my name is Tim Kelly. I'm a junior mass communications student, and I chose this topic because social media is extremely pertinent to my life, and it is to promoting human rights around the world. While social media has created a platform to better inform society about many violations that we otherwise would not have known about, it's been a mixed bag, I think, in terms of promoting human rights. I think for the most part it's been positive, but there also have been some drawbacks in the attempt for human rights thanks to social media. On the positive side, so-called citizen journalism has allowed more than just the corporate media to control narratives about issues, and it's allowed issues like police brutality to come to the light in America. And while police brutality doesn't seem to have a worldwide impact, it had an impact in our election, specifically on the Democratic side, with Martin O'Malley, Bernie Sanders, and Hillary Clinton all taking time in the debates to discuss how they would fix the criminal justice system as opposed to their plans on trade, as opposed to their foreign policy. So they took time out of those to discuss this, and that does have an overreaching global impact. More specifically, in a world sense, while social media has allowed groups like ISIS a place to recruit and free advertising to put their propaganda, it's also emboldened a lot of people, because when Americans see people, specifically Christians, having their heads cut off, seeing journalists have their heads cut off by ISIS in videos, I think it scared a lot of people who don't necessarily have a great understanding of ISIS, but it allowed the course of the election to really change. Most viewers don't have a specific understanding of all that goes into terrorist groups, but they're scared. So someone like Donald Trump can talk about bombing the shit, his own words, not mine, out of ISIS, even though that's really what we're already doing, much to the expense of a lot of innocent people in the drone war. And people think, oh wow, preach, that's what we need to hear, he's telling it like it is, even though that's what's actually happening. In America's videos of Syrian children, among other Middle Eastern children, being affected by the drone strikes have put increasing pressure on President Obama and eventually President-elect Trump to discuss how they're going to continue to try and use drones effectively but not kill as many people that are otherwise innocent or greatly injure and change the course of their lives. So I think for the most part social media has had a positive impact in that regard, but it's hard to overlook how dominant ISIS has become in terms of recruiting and radicalizing people through social media, whether it's through the messenger, direct messaging on Twitter, or just sharing propaganda videos on either platform. In some countries, however, attempts to use social media to promote human rights have actually set back the attempt for human rights. For example, Fasil Hayat was imprisoned earlier this year in Bahrain for using both Twitter and Facebook to discuss how his rights were violated when he was previously a political prisoner. That doesn't mean his message didn't resonate with some and that it won't ultimately have a strong impact, but when people see someone trying to fight for human rights ultimately jailed, it really negates their desire to fight for their human rights and makes them think they're better off in the situation that they're in. Mark Zuckerberg, who's the founder of Facebook, however, is someone who has used social media to promote human rights in a positive way. The billionaire has argued that what he calls connectivity is a human right because it allows citizens to understand both the good and the bad things in their country, while also being able to compare the circumstances of their living situation to that around the world. To a lesser extent, he also believes it's important to introduce or to be able to stay connected to family members and just different people around the world. That's what we have in America. However, in places like North Korea, as highlighted in an ABC News report in 2014, connectivity is not strong because the North Korean government controls who has access to the internet, which is a very select few, and even the people who have access are monitored while they're on the internet. And there's only, I believe, 15 sites available on the internet, and they're all government-sanctioned sites, so essentially it's propaganda. You're not going to go on the North Korean internet and be able to compare your government to another government or become smarter about how the world works. You'll read propaganda about how Kim Jong-un is the supreme leader and essentially you should bow down to him. The lack of information available on the internet has allowed Kim Jong-un and his father Kim Jong-il to oppress their citizens for decades while they live a lavish lifestyle. While social media probably won't take, or wouldn't take all that long if it was implemented in North Korea for a coup to take place in North Korea, citizens aren't going to have that opportunity pretty much ever in all likelihood. So without it, human rights are not promoted through social media. They almost get a fake grasp of the internet and think that they have the internet, but they really don't there. The internet, however, has housed organizations like All for One, Liberty in North Korea, which uses social media like Facebook and Twitter to introduce Americans to those who have escaped from North Korea. For example, a post recently on the story of Min Soo, who escaped to China from North Korea but still isn't in the clear because she hasn't been able to escape to a Western country. They'll allow people to donate to fund her, and that's their goal, to kind of crowdfund people escaping from, treacherous situations like North Korea to come in and find a better life, whether it's in a European country, an American country, kind of a Western country, and to be able to find a better life. So in that sense, while North Korea has created a fake internet that suppresses human rights, developed countries still are able to use social media to help some North Korean citizens, although you'll never be able to give people perfect. In the end, social media does have an overall net positive impact, even if there are all drawbacks, because of charities like All for One, because of being able to use the Red Cross and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to send charity to countries that need it. And in the end, I think that makes social media positive in promoting human rights, even if it's not 100% positive.